Welcome again to another season of Beyond the Title, where we speak with exceptional professionals with extraordinary experiences. Now, after 51 episodes and 2 seasons under our belt, we are kicking off with season 3. I know, right? 3 seasons. Now, third season, here we go. Every month, we research top professionals, their work, the colleagues they inspire, what makes them unique leaders that they are. Now, with a grateful heart, we at Insider are overwhelmed with the DMs and emails and feedback that we get from each of you. So thank you. Thank you so much. Joining us this spectacular, I did say spectacular month, is award-winning Fortune 100 executive Sonita Lontoh. She is the global marketing head at HP and board member at Sunrun. Welcome, Sonita. How are you doing today?
Doing great. Thank you so much for having me here today, Steve.
Sunita, it's a pleasure to have you. Now, where are you dialing in from on this beautiful day?
I'm dialing in from a beautiful San Francisco today. Very nice. I'm looking outside, very sunny. Looking forward to a good weekend here.
Awesome, awesome. Now, of course, we are in October. This is, I think you're also moving towards your winter season. Is that correct?
Maybe in about a month, hopefully. Yes.
Good. Well, as we get into that winter months, I know we are always thinking about how to keep ourselves warm, and of course, creative ideas and innovative ideas do flow in. So, please tell us a little bit about yourself and what do you do? How did you get to this point in your career?
Yeah. So again, thank you so much for this opportunity to share perspective. So for the past 25 years, Steve, I've had the privilege to basically lead and advise at the intersection of innovation, disruptive technologies, and also digital transformation. And my experience is actually quite diverse, including, entrepreneurial, my own company, and then, starting and growing new businesses within large global Fortune 100 companies such as HP and previously at Siemens, but also with smaller, more entrepreneurial venture-backed Silicon Valley startups. So as I look back at my career, I think it wasn't always clear which industry or career path, but I had a few guiding principles. The first is I realized I really love that intersection of new technology, new business models, and policy. And then second, I wanted to work in an area that's contributing something more to society rather than just selling a product. And so, leveraging these two guiding principles, I've been able to focus on Internet of Things, IoT prior, and then today in 3D printing. And I really feel fortunate, because I think working in these new areas really have enabled me to find that intersection of my passion, which is what I love, and then my skills. I'm pretty good at starting and growing, new disruptive businesses, but also my purpose, because all of these new areas at the end of the day are actually delivering positive impacts not only to businesses but more important to customers, consumers, and society. So that's a little bit of the story of my life.
Awesome. You mentioned purpose, the purpose of what drives you forward. So, what is the ikigai that you live by? What is the philosophy that gets you out of bed every morning?
Yeah, great question. And I think for me at least, it was a journey. It was not always obvious, of course, but at the end of the day, I think it's about creating impact. It's about delivering value. Again, as I mentioned, not only to customers, which as most of our customers are other businesses, but also to their consumers, and then to society and the environment. Because a lot of the work that I've been involved with, usually involve creating more efficiencies, reducing kind of greenhouse gas emissions and inefficiencies. So there is kind of that additionality factor. And for me, again, it's very important, and I feel fortunate that I've been able to find that intersection of passion, skills, and purpose. And at the end of the day, it's about, creating impact, knowing that whatever you're doing actually has that additionality factor other than just, selling a product or selling solutions.
Awesome, awesome. And I know you joined us at Reshape, where we did speak about how businesses are impacting the space of sustainability,
Mm-hmm.
and of course around DEI and creating more, I would say, impact driven conversations
Mm-hmm.
and activities to make sure we're all moving towards a very, very interesting but also very sustainable future. Um, Now, I've heard a few of your talks, and a lot of your talks and articles that you've written or spoke at center around growth mindset. Now, and of course, the importance of this towards the business. Can you share some perspectives on how one can develop a growth mindset?
Yeah, another great question. I think the core, at the end of the day, the core of growth mindset is really about having the right positive attitude and always looking for ways to improve oneself. And one way that I've noticed people do this pretty well is actually by seeking constructive feedbacks, which, by the way, Steve, is not that good. It's not that easy because the truth is most people are actually not good at it. If anything, they're actually terrible at it. So you might wonder why that is. And actually, I read a research by Harvard once that said that physiologically, feedback actually trigger three main reactions in human beings. The first is the truth trigger, where when someone gives you feedbacks, immediately you want to look at to what's wrong with the feedback. And then the second is relationship trigger, which is how you feel about that feedback. Sometimes depends on who's giving you the feedback. Is it someone that you respect or not? But the last one, which is the most important, is the identity trigger, is actually how you emotionally feel and personally process the feedback. Really depends on the story that you tell yourself about the feedback. And just based on my experiences, throughout the years, be it from college, I went to university with a lot of Olympic athletes actually. And I noticed that, these kind of like really high achieving people, they actually are very good with looking, asking for constructive feedbacks. And the stories that they tell themselves is always something positive because they want to continue to grow yourself. So I guess at the end of the day, when you ask, how do you develop, growth mindset, I think it's by having an open mind and by being good at looking at and asking for constructive feedbacks.
Oh wow! By the way, I have not read the Harvard review, sorry, the research on this, but now you've already put that into my mind. This is going to be my read for the weekend.
Great.
No, thank you for that, and thank you for elucidating us on the same. Um, Now, going from a little, uh, let's say, deep conversation to a slightly lighter one, we are in the season of Halloween. It's become a global festivity, not to mention peak season, yay. So, do you have any favorite Halloween movies, TV shows, or characters that you associate to right about now?
Yeah, so I'll answer that slightly differently, Steve, because I am afraid of horror movies. And, of course, as you can imagine, most Halloween movies are kind of horror movies. I got scared, so I don't watch too many horror movies. However, I enjoy celebrating Halloween, wearing interesting costumes, go to Halloween parties, meet friends, see all kinds of interesting costumes that they might wear. And one thing, and I think we had this conversation before starting the podcast, I find it very interesting when you start seeing people wearing costumes that are very in vogue with like what's going on. So I would imagine probably in the US, like this year, you might see some people wearing costumes from the Squid Game Netflix show because, it's exploding here in the US and it's happening at Halloween. You can totally see how, you're going to see some people wearing some costumes from that show.
Yeah, can I ask you if you were to go out for a Halloween party this year, which character would you go as?
Yeah, my favorite character from that movie is actually Ali, because I think he's a very good person. I really like him. I don't think I look like him, but but probably I'm just going to wear, one of the people who participate in the game. Just wear that kind of costume.
In my mind, though I do love quite a few characters, and I think Ji Yong would have been one of my favorites, or Hwang Jun Ho. I don't think I could pull off their costumes this year. However, the guards costume is quite an interesting one, right? The
Yeah,
magenta pink overall. with
Yeah, and
the
then with
triangle.
the yeah, exactly, the triangle or the square. Yeah, that will be interesting too.
I'm looking forward to that. If again, I'm not sure what my Halloween party plans are, but I hope you have a really really nice one, and I hope you're going to write us on LinkedIn telling us what you're going to be doing this Halloween.
Sure, likewise. Hopefully you'll have a good Halloween as well, Steve.
Thank you, thank you. Um, so going to a bit of that leadership question, we did touch upon that, right? From growth mindset to taking feedback. Um, so when you talk about leadership principles, what experiences led you to develop leadership qualities, leadership principles? What is it that you strive by?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very, very good question. And I know, like your podcast also focus on leadership. And I think for most people, leadership is a journey. And likewise, for me, it's been a journey. And over the years, they have evolved. But overall, I would say my leadership principles can be summarized as follows. I think first and foremost, leaders are customer focused. I've been involved with so many new disruptive technologies. Sometimes you work with very brilliant, innovators and engineers. But at the end of the day, as a leader, you have to be able to articulate, how your solutions actually helping to solve customer problems. So it's customer focused. And then second, I think leaders act like owners. And I think Jeff Bezos actually talk about this a lot about how leaders should think long term. They think about the long term and they will never sacrifice, long term value for short term results. I think sometimes, in the business world, it's kind of tough because you're being measured quarter by quarter. But leaders, I think, have to focus long term. And then last but not least, this is more from a kind of personal perspective. I do believe as you grow in your leadership journey, you'll start realizing that leaders actually develop other leaders and not other followers, And there is actually this concept, in the US, Steve, from someone called John Maxwell, where he talks about, the different levels of leadership. Most people start in the beginning very easy. They're leaders because of their titles, but then as you keep growing in your leadership journey and to reach kind of the pinnacle of leadership, you will have to start realizing that at the end of the day, it's actually about developing other leaders, because by doing that, not only are you being able to achieve more of your organizational goals, but you're actually changing the lives of all members of your teams by doing that. And so, last but not least, I think very important, leaders develop other leaders, and they are really being intentional and willing to do that.
Actually, because you mentioned John Maxwell, one of his
Mm,
books, the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership, was
mm-hmm.
is one of my favorite reads till date.
Great.
Right, and you also mentioned Jeff Bezos. Did you get to watch the takeoff of Blue Origin and William Shatner yesterday?
Unfortunately, not. I read, of course, just the news flash about it, but unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to watch it live yet. But maybe I'll, go check it out this weekend. How was it? Did you
No,
watch it?
I did watch parts of it, not the entirety of it, because I was doing
Uh
it while
huh.
I was working, which is paying attention to a little bit on the side. But because you mentioned how leaders are in tune and also so in tune with their customers, I think one of the best things Amazon has done, whether it is Prime TV, whether it's music, whether that is your e-commerce marketplace, is that they've listened and they continuously listen to their customers, through a
Exactly.
variety of different, uh, let's say, tech properties, to a number of different algorithms, but they have kept their customers first, which is
Totally.
why they're
And
doing what they're doing.
successful.
So
Exactly.
yeah,
And also,
exactly.
I think from some friends, that are working there at Amazon, I think like they're also very agile and iterative in terms of um, uh, putting into place customer feedbacks. You know what I mean? So they go out there, test things, talk to customers, get their feedbacks. Have this kind of closed loop to kind of like keep improving their processes or their offering based on customer feedbacks. I think that's really great, and I think more and more. tech companies should be doing that because let's just be honest. I think some companies talk about being customer focused, but when you really look at what they're doing, like there are a lot of room for
Yeah.
improvements. Yeah, exactly.
Well, as long as they're making those improvements and not just
Yes.
promising, yeah. Uh, so you're a busy person. I've seen you, being one of the board members at Sunrun. You are actively involved with HP as well. What's the one app that keeps you so structured and sane? Because I can imagine your day goes crazy.
Yes. Oh, okay. So again, Steve, even in the beginning, I said I'm the oldies but goodies here. So I'm more of the older generation here. So I don't use any app. Okay, I only use my Outlook. It actually has worked pretty well for me. My calendar, I would say, pretty neatly organized and reorganized. You know what I mean? And so I do not use any app, but basically just me and my EA, we work together to make sure that my schedules are good and I can stay productive.
Awesome, awesome. Do you use Outlook tasks as well?
Say that again.
Do you use the task function on Outlook as well? To
No, it's just a calendar.
Wow,
Mm-hmm.
wow.
Is that crazy?
Well, it's not crazy, but it is very novel to hear this today. You know what? Whenever I get to the US, I'm hoping you could give me a time to record a day in the life of Sonita.
Sure,
Uh,
sure.
it
So
will be
my
very, very insightful to us all.
Yeah. So Steve, just to be very honest with you, sometimes my challenges are actually 3 or 4 meetings that are scheduled at the same time. And I feel like, you know what I mean? Like in order to manage that, right? It's not like a task thing or a scheduling thing. At the end of the day, like you yourself have to work with the different stakeholders
True.
to determine where you should be at what time. So a lot of my challenges are more that rather than keeping like a to-do list or action items. It's more about where do I where should I spend my time to be the most productive.
If I take anything from today's call, that's going to be it. Uh, where should I spend my time to be more productive is a mantra. And you've seen this, I guess, in the last 18, 20 months. We've all been pulled into Zoom calls, Google Hangouts, a number of different meetings, and we get bogged down with so many of those.
Exactly.
Awesome,
Those
awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Um, now, by the way, just for our viewers, guys, that is not a virtual background. That's actually Sunita's place. It's a workspace at home, and it is gorgeous.
Oh,
Uh,
thank you.
no, I just want to make sure that nobody thinks that's a virtual background. It's just beautiful the way the place you've got. It's not only neat, but you've got everything you need for work there. I would lie down on that sofa if I needed a 5 minute cat nap, or just be able to focus. Not looking. And I think you've got also direct sunlight coming
I
in from
do.
the
And
outside.
and Steve and the audience, unfortunately, I cannot share with you my view, but I'm actually overlooking San Francisco and the Golden Gate Bridge. And today, I'm just looking out right now. It's so clear. You can see the bridge. You can see the water. It's actually really, really fortunate, to be able to do this. Work from home and still be productive.
I have to tell you, I was last in Frisco in 2014.
Okay,
In the US, it's one of my favorite places to go.
it's very beautiful.
Uh, it is the wharf is just as gorgeous. You've got an amazing culture of I forget the name of that lovely stew dish with seafood. It just slips my mind right now. You
Oh,
have to
like
go
the
down.
Chiopino, like a Chiopino, or like a uh,
I have a bread bowl. It's
in a bread bowl. Okay, got it. It's a soup. It's a
yes,
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. Oh my God, now I forget too. It's actually very famous. Chowder, clam chowder.
chowder. Yes, thank you so
Yes,
much.
yes,
Thank you
yes,
so
yes.
much.
Oh,
Uh, yes, and whenever we get back to traveling again, global tourism, we start again. Um, I will revisit the Rock.
You should. And actually, today I saw the White House just made an announcement. I think as of November 8th, the US is open again for
Yes.
vaccinated travelers.
Yes, exactly. So next year, yay, we may even have a reshape USA. Yay!
Yes.
So a few excitements over there, and I bring us back to this lovely conversation we're having with you, Sunita. And it's such a pleasure to have this conversation with you. Um, Now, you are an innovative business person, and oftentimes businesses need to encourage creativity and innovation,
Mm.
thinkers who need to blossom. So within your teams that you lead, inspire, and encourage, how do you inspire more creativity and innovation in the workspace?
Yeah, another great question. And I would imagine probably relevant for Insider too, right? As an innovative new company. I think at the end of the day, Steve, there's no template, for inspiring innovation and creativity. But one of our roles as a leader, I think, is to create a safe space and environment so people are not afraid to experiment and think outside the box. And so for me, myself, I have a few guiding principles that, I have seen to be pretty effective, the first one is just to make it fun. Again, I lead a marketing team. At least before COVID, we used to meet, quarterly in person, and we usually have even though most of the time we talk about business and the plan, but we usually reserve a time to have a fun session. And during this fun session, people were divided into different teams, and they go think of one big idea, and then they come back to present it to the rest of the team, kind of like in the Shark Tank, style. And it's competitive, it's fun, and then people came with all kinds of great ideas. And then the second, I would say, is actually to make it just part of your everyday existence. I think some companies mistakenly think that, oh, innovation, creativity is this big magical thing separate from the company's day to day operations. And I think that is actually not true, because during COVID, what I've seen, you know, with my own teams, with other people at HP, when they're just trying to solve everyday problems, be it trying to pivot because of COVID, trying to achieve more with less, lots of budget cuts, right, during the pandemic, or trying to, deliver better customer experience, people innovate, in their everyday life. And then last but not least, and I think based on what I know of you guys do this a lot at Insider, is to mix people with diverse backgrounds. And what I meant by that is not necessarily race or gender only, but people from different disciplines, different experiences and perspectives. So in my own team, for example, is marketing. But when you look at us, we don't only come from the creative advertising background, but also people from technical, engineering background, people who have been with large companies, small companies, people with experiences from hardware, software, services. And at the end of the day, I think when you mix, these people with diverse backgrounds, what you get is what I call the value network. And basically what that is the interconnectedness and the interdependencies among the various kind of members of the network can actually deliver like a bigger benefits for the network as a whole, rather than just the individual member. And then I think this is truly where companies can really realize that the whole is bigger than just the sums of its parts.
Very, very nicely and very tactfully said there, Sunita. I love hearing that. In fact, yes, you're right. At Insider, one of our strongest points, I have to say, is the ability to attract talent
Mm-hmm,
across not just as you mentioned, it's not just geographies, it's not just races, it's not just
mm-hmm.
genders, but it's more, it's the ability to attract. By the way, we have a number of musicians at Insider, which would be kind of an odd thing for a SaaS company. However, they are very productive. They have given us some of the best ideas we've had. We've had accountants in the marketing team
Ah, okay.
to psychologists, joining us to talk about how the human brain works and how is our marketing supposed to support that.
Wow,
Uh,
okay.
so, no, thank you for sharing that with us, Anita. Now, as we get to that lovely sweet spot of closing the show, and I do want to get a few things from you. Um, what is the one unique fact about Sunita, especially around how you got to Frisco, your lovely journey till there, the different companies you've worked at? If you could give us a highlight reel of your career.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah. So I would say the unique thing probably about me, Steve. I think I told you before. I was from Jakarta, Indonesia. I was born and grew up in Indonesia. I got sent here for school actually, and the plan was not to stay here for this long. But as they said, you have a plan, and then life has another plan for you. But I think probably the unique thing for me, I've always been in an environment where I'm the minority if you think about it, because even in Indonesia, I was female, kind of Chinese Indonesian instead of native Indonesian. I was Catholic instead of Indonesia is 90% Muslim majority country. So I've always kind of like been this, what from the outside people think is the minority, and then I got here. Again, I'm female, I'm Asian, I'm not American born. But you know what? Like I've always found actually being that minority gives me a perspective that is truly global. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying Americans are not global, but just by being able to like be from another country, come to another country, and now have customers and been working with people from all kinds of places, right? Not just Americans, but also Europeans and Asian. I think it has really helped me to develop that truly global perspective and can really look at things from very different perspective compared to someone that maybe just have one experience. So I think, to summarize kind of who I am and, like what is the unique viewpoint I bring to the table, it's really about just looking at things from a very different perspective and sometimes even thinking really outside the box. And I think it has really helped me in my journey, throughout the past 25 years.
Sunita, I really truly want to say thank you so much for sharing that with us. You know, you're right. A lot of people do feel like they are minorities in a number of different places. We have become global citizens. I know the world has shrunk a lot, given us a lot of opportunities to do whatever we want to today. Right? We've had the opportunity given and blessed to us, and I want to thank you for sharing that with all of our viewers, with all the audiences that we will have for time and time and time to come, and for inspiring the next generation of professionals as they get into marketing, to innovative idea, to innovation, to business processes, whatever it may be. Thank you so much, Anita.
Thank you so much, Steve, for having me.
Cheers. Hey guys, for everybody out there, thank you so much for joining us again. As I said, this is an amazing start to season three. I hope you will stay as glued to, and of course as regular as you have been watching our amazing sessions. If you've got ideas for guests, please do reach out to us. DM me on LinkedIn or DM us on YouTube or any of the lovely channels that you watch us on. We'd be happy to take in any suggestions. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy.